All right, let's create the mount point for storing the SQL backups. First, shut down the server. Make it as a 16 GB. We got the SQL data. What happened to that SQL logs? Okay, now we got the SQL logs. All right. Now let's add another mount point for storing the backups. So now we have the SDD, the 16 GB, right? I think we created 16 GB. Now let's create the mount point for this one. Even we can use LSBLK. This is if the disks are more than 2 terabytes, then you have to use LSBLK. Otherwise, you can even use FDisk if it is less than 2 terabytes. So here you can see SDA has FDA is 1, SDC, sorry, SDB is 1 and SDC is, so yeah, for SDD we haven't created it, so it is still 16 GB. So now let's create the logical volume. So we have to use parted command. So we need to make that label. Okay, now let's create the logical volume. To create the logical volume, first you need to start with physical volume. And then create the volume group. That is next step. Next, create the logical volume. Okay, so now you need to format the logical volume. And then the final step is to present the logical volume. So we created the mount point, and then we mounted the logical volume. So you can see that here we can store the 16 GB of SQL backups in this mount. Okay, this is another way of adding the storage to the server. So one is pretty straightforward, and but you cannot extend these drives, but you can extend this logical volume. That is the advantage of logical volumes. We have added. Now all we need to do is just move the data files and then backup files into this folder. Okay, I restarted the server, configured the SQL backups to store in the mount point. Now let's take a backup of this database. So the backups go here in this mount point. Now we got the backup there. So this is how you add the storage to the server and then configure the database files or SQL backups or log files or dump directories, anything you wanted to move out of the root partition and put it on the mount points. This is how you do it. But in your company, you may have the storage engineers. They can allocate the LUNs and then present the LUNs, and then you just format it and then start using it, create mount points and start using it. We haven't talked about the cron jobs in Linux server. Cron jobs is like scheduled task in Windows. You can create cron job to schedule anything that you wanted to perform at the Linux operating system level, or even you can run SQL CMD commands and start taking the database backups, or anything you wanted to perform at the operating system level. You have the SQL agent job. You can schedule whatever you wanted to do at the database level, but anything you wanted to do at the Linux operating system level, then you better create the cron jobs. Here we have created the database backup job. Let's create a cron job to take a database backup. To see the list of cron jobs, you say cron tab -L. So there is no cron tab for the root. So systemctl status cron D. It is running. There are no jobs. Okay, so let's create a job. I have sample script. I copied from one of the website to take the database backup. It is pretty simple script actually. It executes the SQL CMD and executes the command. Basically, it loops through the databases and then excluding the system databases. It loops through the databases and then take the database backup of every database that it looped through. And finally, it has the remove command to remove the backup files that are older than n number of days that you can specify. Okay, so you can pass the parameters to the script. These are the parameters. For example, the first parameter, let's copy this into the text file so that you can see better. Okay, the first parameter is backup directory. This is the place where you wanted to take backups. And then the next one is how many days you wanted to keep the backups. Okay, which server you wanted to connect, local server, or you wanted to connect to a remote server to take the database backups, and how do you want to connect to the database, user ID and password. That's it. And then you, whatever the commands that the cron job is executing, it will write the standard output into this log file. It will route the error messages to the standard output to the same log file. So standard messages and the error messages, everything goes to the same log file. But this script, it accepts 5 parameters. The 5 parameters are here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you see here, it has the loop logic. Select name from sys.databases, excluding this system databases. All right, let's create this script in the SQL backups in this folder. You can do this as well. You can create scripts folder. So you need to give the execute permission for this one. So I will say so this should be fine. So now let's execute this. I don't know where the, okay, let's execute this script manually. So where you wanted to take backups, you wanted to take backups to the MNT mount point. So let's take a look at this file. So this is the log file created the backups of all the databases that we created. Okay, so let's so it created these backup files, testdb, testdb2, 3, 4, like that. Okay, so we ran the script manually. Okay, so now we wanted to run the script through Cron Job. So this is minutes, hours, and then the days, weeks, month, like that. Okay, so every day 12:15 a.m. this job runs. So where is the script? The script is in this folder. Right here is where the script is. So mssql backup.sh, and then so now it runs every day at 12:15 a.m. This is how you schedule the. So now the time is 6:53, probably 6:55. Let's schedule it to 6:55 p.m., which is 18:55. I'm going to pause the video and then wait for 18:55, and let's see how it runs. All right. So it says bin sh root command not found. Let's see what the problem is. I researched the problem what we have here. Basically, here it should not be root. This is a problem. You have the cron tab format, and then the sixth value should be the script, and there was a root here. That was a problem. Okay, so I removed it and then I ran it, so it ran fine. Let's take a look at the script again. So cron tab. So now the time is 7:07. Let's make it as a 8. Okay, so now it is starting the backups. So the backup is completed. So 7:8. So the backups are created. So the cron job. So you need to properly format this line actually. So I copied this code from some website, they have something wrong here. We need to fix the stuff. So this is wrong.